Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's paper is I believe it's a requested paper, and it is the paper 1, variant 2 of February March 2022. This is, I would say, an unusual paper. It has unique questions that you normally wouldn't see in your past year papers, so we're gonna look into those. And yeah. Make sure to check my previous videos because I posted one a week ago or two, part 1 and 2 of the previous paper. And sorry for posting this very late. Anyways, let's start with our first question. This is our first case study. So, CXN manufactures glass bottles using flow production. The business has a number of stakeholders, groups including its 130 employees. So CXN has benefited from globalization. And products are exported to 39 countries. The managing director knows that depreciation of an exchange rate can affect business activity. She thinks all manufacturing business should contribute to sustainable development. So there's a couple of keywords here. You have flow production, you have globalization, you have a number of stakeholders, you have depreciation is mentioned. So I believe they're gonna be included in our next questions. So our first question is part A. Usually the first question is like define or mm, maybe it's a formula of some sort, but no, this one is about globalization and it's worth 2 marks. So identify 2 reasons for globalization. There's a couple of answers that you can state. You can even write your own answers as long as it's related. Any appropriate response should be credited. So for here I have rapid economic growth in developing countries. These are reasons for globalization. And then there's also the reduction in trade barriers. Another reason for globalization. Um, Other reasons you might include that you increase labor migration. Also, you can state that improved communication and network technology. There's a couple other answers, but yeah, these are a few. So, part B, define depreciation of an exchange rate. Okay, that is a simple question. So it is basically a currency value falls against another country. All right, it's just as simple as that. It is it shows you the state of a certain currency. So when a currency depreciates, it means it falls against a certain currency. And nowadays we compare these with our currency with maybe dollar, I would say dollar or euros, depends on where your country is, but yeah, we have these rates. So no, sorry, we've done part B. Part C, you have to outline one possible objective for each of the following stakeholder groups of CXN. So you're already given uh, a certain two groups. Usually they'd ask you to state, so you have to bring like your own, but now they're giving you, so you just have to um, outline possible objectives for these. So you have to basically look into the point of view of each of these groups. So first we have the government. So for the government, what do you think is its objective, its possible objective? Um, well, it increased tax from the manufacture of bottles. This is one of the greatest objectives of the government. Uh, Another answer is they expect business to stay within the law. That is an objective as well. So for employees, you have obviously they increased the pay for the 130 employees. This is one of their most targeted objectives, obviously a fixed salary or an increased salary. Other answer you would say access to training and better and safer conditions. This is also a great object. I mean, this is a basic need for an employee, but it's still an objective to be reached out to. Okay, that is it for part C. Moving on to our 6 mark questions. We have two. Part D. Explain one advantage and one disadvantage to CXN of using flow production. Alright, so you have to be familiar with these terms, or like flow production, batch production, all of these, in order for you to answer. And when you're familiar, you'd be able to answer these questions without actually memorizing um, maybe like certain advantages or disadvantages. Unless it really helps you to memorize, then it's fine. Okay, so an advantage of flow production is obviously the high output. So the explanation for that is higher output to be able to meet orders on time. Of course, you need higher output to be able to meet demands on time. Having more output is better than having less, and you try your best not to be in a condition where you're always out of stock, because like what is the point, you know? And especially if you know that this product is doing well in the market, so it has to be always high on demand. So in order for you to keep up with that, you have to have higher output. So flow production is good for that. How about the disadvantage for flow production is higher setup, leading to large cash outflow. So it costs you a lot to set up for flow production. um I would check other answers would be um it is lower motivation for workers, a disadvantage, since workers may be boring, so employees are less efficient, lower output sometimes. Because, they're doing the same thing over and over again, so they would get bored. That is a disadvantage. Another advantage you can say is it allows for capital intensive methods, you can say. Like fewer employees sometimes, so only need 130 employees, reducing labor costs. So having flow production set up, you obviously need machinery, and this would prevent or with minimize the business need for extra employees. So they would only stick with their 130 employees. All right. Next, which is the last part of this question number 1, our part E. Okay, so do you think using renewable energy is the best way for a manufacturing business to contribute to sustainable development? Justify your answer. Okay, this is it. Actually, it seems easy, but it's actually tricky. There's not much to say about this, or not much to have um, written, I would say. But I guess you have to use your logic. So, using renewable energy, basically, um, those new technology stuff like hydrostatic energy, or like those solar panels and stuff like that, basically. So I chose to agree with this. And again, I would like to remind that whatever choice you make, you are not graded for the choice. So many people really do think that they are graded, like, oh, how am I supposed to know whether this is a yes or not? No, you don't really have to think like that when answering this question, especially. You just have to go with the answer that you're most familiar with, and that should be fine, because you're not graded for the choice. You're graded off how you're able to elaborate about your choice. That's all. So yes, I do think it is a good idea, and by a good idea I mean using renewable uh, energy or technology for manufacturing business to contribute sustainable development. I'm sorry, I didn't really write in full sentences for this question, because I was like finding for suitable answers. But here's their answers. So, having renewable energy will have low energy bills, which reduces expenses. Now, this is our first point, which is about 2 marks because you're stating that you have low energy bills and also reduce expenses. That's another point. Nonetheless, needing to use less scarce resources, which will help conserving it, meaning um, we are gonna be conserving our non-renewable resources, which are like the coal. What else do we have? Mm, yeah, certain like oils and petroleum, these kind of things that are scarce and could end anytime soon. So using them too much is not an advantage. So being able to use renewable energy actually helps fight that. Moreover, which is our last point, CXN will develop new packaging which may attract new customers. So, in order for you to switch into this whole friendly environment theme, you obviously have to have a new packaging, right? So, in order for CXN to keep up with this new change, they will also have to have new packaging, which will most likely attract new customers. And it also, there's many customers who really do care about the environment, which is a great thing. And these customers seeing that you, the business, CXN, is actually contributing to this matter, it will raise more awareness. Okay, so for justification for this one, there's kind of like a few answers. So it's honestly up to you for this one, and I think it's just worth 1 mark. So you will obviously have to state um, what is the even though the bills will be reduced, low energy bills, however, setting renewable energy actually costs the business. It is not a cheap method, it is expensive. If it is though inexpensive in the long run, but in order to start with this change, the business will have to pay a lot of money to keep up with it. And also it might not be reliable. You can state that it might not be reliable because it might also like it most likely depends on the weather, right? So so if you were to write that maybe the wind is not in favor today, or maybe there's the rivers are not maybe for the hydrostatic power one, you can just write anything relating to the weather, and it's just the weather. Just state the weather, and also it could be expensive. You can write both, but I would say writing one is fine. It's just fine. Okay, that is it for question number 1. Now moving over to question number 2, which is a tricky question. Let us read the case study. So, Nancy wants to be an entrepreneur. She has analyzed market research data and decided to start up a bookshop. So, Nancy has identified a suitable location and prepared a business plan. Nancy is calculating her total costs. She will use this information to help her complete a break-even chart as shown in the figure 2.1 below. Nancy is also considering to use e-commerce. So you have a couple of also terms that you will look forward to: entrepreneur, market research, suitable location, business plan, e-commerce, break even. All of these are gonna be included in your questions. Okay. So here you have your break even chart for Nancy's business. You have here your cost of and revenue, and then the total costs over here. And then here is your break even output and current level of output, which is here. Okay. So you have to identify X and Y. Where is X? Hold on. X is here, and this is Y. So X is the total revenue or the total value of sales. You can write either, or just put both options, but you have to write only one. And then Y is the margin safety. All right. Next, part B is you have to define total costs. It is basically the fixed costs and variable costs. Okay. Part C. Okay, for this question, you have to identify four factors a service business should consider when deciding on a sustainable location. Okay, there's a lot of answers for this one. Just write whatever you comes in mind first. Here I have this four. The market potential. And market potential, I mean the place's market potential or where this place stands in the market, basically. Second is accessibility for customers. And then you have cost of site as well, is very important. And then you have your infrastructure. Other things is how near is your place to the competitors, availability of labor, security, legal controls, owner's personal preference. You can write anything uh, um, from these. And then also you can use your own words, no worries. Okay, for part D, explain two ways having a business plan could help Nancy. Okay, so this one you just have to look forward in your notes or your textbook, or you could even use your own words as long as it makes sense and it's related to the question. Do not go out of context because you're not gonna get marks for this one if you don't. Okay, part D. Okay, so first way is, oh, the one of our most obvious ones is it will help her get a bank loan. So since the lender can see the business is able to repay, basically having a business plan makes Nancy's business much detailed, and also they can trust her business. All right. Next way is to help her in decision making so that money and time is not wasted on the wrong target market. Having a business plan enables a business or a business owner to have a target or um, a certain objective to work towards, and in order for you to have that, you have to have a business plan, obviously. And when you have this objective, you will obviously work through to achieve it, and thus you're not gonna be wasting time, or you could waste money, but still you're not gonna waste time or money on unnecessary things because you have one goal to work through. And also having a business plan makes it more organized, like your your expenses, machinery, everything, your labors, your sales, and everything is going to be stated in that, so you know in details what's going on in the business. Okay, next is part E, the last part for this question. So do you think the threats of e-commerce are greater than the opportunities for a new business? So for this question, you just have to talk about whether e-commerce is um, 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 has opportunities, or maybe it's a threat to the business. And again, you're not graded for your choice. So I picked the most obvious one. I think the opportunities are obviously greater that e-commerce will contribute. So e-commerce will increase the potential number of customers, of course, around the world, increasing its market share. Moreover, it is low cost way to promote the business, which can raise awareness, maybe through websites, your social media, those Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those platforms. And again, it costs you most of that time. It costs you no money unless you're paying someone to promote your product. Okay, so nonetheless, fewer employees needed, so lower labor costs and fewer shops, of course. And by fewer shops, I mean they could run an online store. However, it increases competition, so the business might have to set lower prices. That is true. You can also write for justification that um, what else do we have to write? You can write maybe your customers are not familiar with it, so like maybe it doesn't reach out to your existing customers. Also, maybe if Nancy were to develop, let's say, a new product, maybe her existing customers are not aware of it or something like that. So yeah, but mostly it is this, and also it is the um, maybe your market, your potential market, the market you're targeting, maybe the age of the people is not, uh, maybe they're like older than your usual people who use e-commerce. I don't mean they don't use, but they could not be fully aware of everything around the social media and internet, so they might not be able to see. And yeah, that is it for this question. And also that is it for this video. And make sure to check out the next video, which I'll be posting soon for part 2. And yeah, you feel free to comment any question and any suggestion. I will be replying to it. Thank you, and if you like this video, please like it and also share to your friends and subscribe. Thank you.